My earliest memories of loving speed, I think, was when I was riding my bicycle, a two-wheel bike, and I used to just drive that thing like it was a race car. I'd go so fast that one time I remember sliding off the corner, hitting a giant Volkswagen-sized rock, flying over the rock and almost landing on the highway. I landed in the ditch. That was my idea of speed and being in a race car, going as fast as I possibly could. In 2017, I finally had a chance to join a racetrack called Area 27 in British Columbia, which is not so far from my home. And that's where I got a chance to first start racing.
My name's Scott Hargrove, a Porsche selected driver, and I had the pleasure of coaching Dean at Area 27. So when I first met Dean, he showed up in a rental car at Area 27. It wasn't even his personal car. He showed up in a rental and he did the school. And I could tell right away that this guy was absolutely nuts. He was driving the car way past the limit, dipping tires in the dirt. It was the funniest thing for me to watch, but it also I had a feeling like this guy's gonna be good. We just need to reel him in. In a way, I guess I'm sort of responsible for Dean going racing, because when I saw him at Area 27, I knew he had that spark, and I approached him and I said, hey, you know, there's places where you can take this. You're clearly talented.
I'm 56, I've just started racing. I don't think I'm gonna be in Formula One or anything. But he's like seriously wanted to help me, like to take the right steps so that I don't have setbacks and things, and point me in the right direction. When my buddy from the track, Nick, told me about Porsche Racing Experience 1 in Vallelunga, Italy, and it was like a 5-day event where they actually teach you how to race, I was so in.
So my dad died at age 77, but he lived in his latter years like a much younger man. He lived almost a perfect, healthy lifestyle. You know, he had his own organic garden. He ate from his freezer, which was full of hunted wild game and fish. At 76, I saw him running around the yard, playing with the dog, rolling in the grass with the dog. Like, you don't often see that. He didn't have a longer lifespan than most people, but he had a longer health span. I mean, he died up sheep hunting on the top of a mountain in the northern Rockies, hiking, had a massive heart attack and died about as perfectly, I guess, as somebody could for him. So at age 76, he started tracking his Porsche. He had a yellow GT3 Porsche, and he started tracking at age 76 with me, and he would get so excited that he couldn't sleep the night before he'd get on the track with that car. So I thought, you know, this is a great way to live. I want to be like that. The week that Dad passed away was 3 weeks before my scheduled first race experience in Rome with Porsche Racing Experience 1. And I thought about, should I cancel and spend time grieving? I'm not going to be able to, you know, focus or whatever. And then I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought about what, you know, Pops would do or what he would want me to do. And I thought about how he lived his life, you know, pedal to the metal, flat out, going even in his 70s. And I thought, no, screw it. I'm going. I'm going to go, and I'm going to do this Porsche Racing Experience in Rome. And I'm really glad that I did. You know, you don't have to be that person that's senescent and losing muscle and losing bone density and living like a much older person than you need to be.
I'm Paul Greger. I'm a marketing manager for Porsche AG, responsible in the experiential marketing area for the Porsche Racing Experience. trying to see if we could take gentlemen drivers to become professional race drivers. The program was started a year ago in Vallelunga, Italy, where we had 9 drivers come through and successfully complete the original program. Dean was one of the first alumni that's come through, and so he's one of our prototype drivers for this season. Dean is one of our poster children, if you will. He works very, very hard. He is very dedicated to what he does, but he has also the basic talent to build upon. So he has done very, very well so far this season, although he has worked very, very hard at it.
I'm really super excited because there's 2 things in life that I'm really, really passionate about besides my dear wife, and that is my company AlgaeCal, where we have an actual unique marine algae source of calcium that is used for increasing bone density even in older folks. So we've done some human clinical trials where 60, 70, even 80-year-old women are increasing bone density, getting back to youthful bone density by taking all these nutrients. They're just nutrition that their bones are crying out for and don't have. So it's really, really a lot of fun. And through the company, I've been able to have the resources to join racing. I want to have racing support the company in some sense.
My name is Matze. I'm with Porsche now since 2000, doing all kind of driving events and being part of the Porsche racing experience. And that way I met Dean 2.5 years ago on our pilot level 1 training for the Porsche racing experience.
I didn't know how to put on a HANS device. I didn't know how you step into and out of a race car. There was endless toggle switches and buttons and straps and things that I didn't have in my street car. There was no traction control, there was curbs, there was other cars. There was so many things to think about. I decided I want to race, and I want to race Porsche GT3 Cup cars.
I can talk for hours and hours about the special Deans.
Each weekend had 4 races. So each one had its own special and unique challenges. Each track is different. You know, it started off, of course, with Hockenheim and my horrible first race weekend where everything was just so crazy. And I crashed the car twice and questioned whether I should really even be in this sport. Like seriously, I thought that I shouldn't. Possibly, maybe I'm just too old, too slow, too incapable or whatever to be driving.
So, and in Hockenheim, what we expected, it was tough for him. Cold, new slicks. It's a bit like driving on ice and snow, and you release rev limiter. Was just a bit too strong on the throttle, and then the car turned right away, right into the barrier. But the good thing about Dean is that he learns from every special Dean, so issue, incident he has very quickly. DNF means did not finish, yeah? So you start in the back. So he ended up in the 34th place out of 41. Yeah, so at least he made 6 places.
You know, I didn't want to follow close behind cars at the second race of the season, which was Red Bull Ring. And Red Bull Ring's a fast track, some pretty fast corners. And so it had its own challenges, but I made some gains. I got back on the horse, you know, after falling off in Hockenheim.
He had to get more used to the traffic, yeah, to defend his position. And this ended up in his lap time of 1 minute 33, so he was the best one from the Porsche racing experience, 1 minute ahead of the other guys, who showed actually already a very good performance. So he finished 11th in the endurance race, starting at 20.
Sometimes people think I'm a little crazy, like, what are you doing at 57, 58 years old in terms of the racing and what drives me to actually do that and stay race fit and all those things. I grew up kind of, I like to say in a jail. You know, we didn't have any money, we were very, very poor. And so everything was pretty much impossible to do. You know, if I want to go and watch a hockey game or something like that live, couldn't afford it. And so there's a lot of things that I couldn't do growing up. I couldn't really do sports and things like that. For me, it's kind of like, I'm free. I've been free for quite a while, but I still feel like I'm free and I have so many things that I want to do in this life.
I used to think racing in a cup car is like driving in a road car, but only at a higher speed. I mean, how demanding can it be when all you do is sit in a car and drive as fast as you can. Now I know I was very wrong. It's amazing how they're constantly pushing the car to its limit, and that requires an extremely high level of focus and stamina. When you're racing, there's so many things you have to consider. It starts with getting the best racing line around the track, and the line changes if it's on a sunny day versus on a rainy day. Then there are usually 15 corners on a track, and you need to understand exactly where you should start turning and where to clip one point on a corner called the apex, and how to exit that corner carrying full speed. Next is braking. This is very different from braking in a road car. Most of the drivers use a technique called left foot braking. They use their left foot to brake and their right foot to accelerate. At the very end of every straight stretch, you hit the brake with your left foot as hard as possible. Then you have to trail off the brake slowly so that your car starts turning, so that the weight is transferred from the front of the car to the side smoothly. If you don't get it just right, the car will spin. There's no traction control to save you. And slick tires are very unpredictable compared to street tires, where they give you plenty of warning that you're about to go for a slide. One mistake and the penalty can mean crashing into the wall or into other cars.
So I bring you to the third race weekend to the Nürburgring. Dean got better and better prepared for the race weekends. He does a lot in the simulation. He looks to all the track books he gets in front. He has a lot of questions. He watches video from the internet. He is so excited about it that, always there are special Deans.
I recall one time driving around the track. Thank God it wasn't in a race, it was in a practice session. And I reached over to click the fan. There's a bunch of toggle switches in the car.
Unluckily, he got the wrong switch. What happened? He got the ignition switch.
Killed the car. So I'm driving down the track and all of a sudden the engine died and I was like, why did it die? I didn't even connect it in my brain for a second, and then I clicked it back on.
But then he improved constantly in the quali and the race, and he finished on the 17th place.
And then we moved on to Oschersleben. I completely overdrove the car, and it happens to be a very, very grippy track because it's quite often used for motorcycles, and so it tears up the tires. So I completely overdrove the tires, meaning that I toasted them in the first race, and the car has to use the same tires for the second race, and so I had no chance in the second one.
That was a special one. To be honest, I don't want to talk about the results, because there have been a lot of special Deans battling, especially with another prey guy, and he was not focusing anymore about the line, the braking point, just hunting this guy, yeah. And they had a nice competition together, because Dean nearly missed turn one, hitting the other prey guy, which came out of the pits. And instead of saying sorry, he said, "Oh, I tried something new." And from this point on, these guys was battling all over the weekend.
Sometimes I can't understand how this is fun for Dean or other drivers when some of the conditions they are under are just pure torture. Imagine wearing fire-resistant long johns, long sleeve top, socks, and all that goes under the racing suit with a helmet, gloves, and special racing shoes. The temperature in the car is around 130 Fahrenheit on a summer day. The heart rate can go over 200 beats per minute during a race. Can you imagine? You need to be really fit to withstand this level of exertions. That's why 7 out of 10 passengers that ride in Dean's car ended up vomiting their last meal. Apart from the physical side, there's the mental game of racing. Tenths of a second often mean the difference between winning and losing. After every session in the car, they use data analysis where they compare many different parameters with that of a pro driver's lap. So they overlay Dean's lap on top of the pro's lap, and they are looking for a tenth here and there. They will say things like, oh, you can carry a little more mid-corner speed in turn 10, or you can brake 3 meters later in turn 2, or you're turning way too soon for turn 4 and that you're ruining your exit. After they gather all this data, they have to get in the car and try to make this adjustment to gain a few tenths on this corner or that corner. Finally, you have to add traffic into the equation. There are 50 other cars that are trying to do the same thing as you are. Dean have to really manage his emotions, maintain calm during race starts, and when you get pushed off the track, you can't panic. You have to get back on track as soon as you can. Now that I'm with him almost every race weekend, I have new respect for car racers. It's hard to imagine that I used to believe racing was just getting in a car and driving fast.
From Oschersleben, we went to Spa, my favorite track, and I got my act together. My coach had a good talk with me and said, Dean, just focus, concentrate. I did much better. We started in the rain in Spa, Eau Rouge, the famous corner. I remember going through that in the rain, first time ever. It was kind of scary because the car gets light on the top and you just, whoa.
He likes actually the demanding, technical, quick tracks. It has a lot of elevation, 7 kilometers long, and it's really awesome to drive this one. And this one resulted in top 10 results in all 3 races. So in the 2 sprint races and in the endurance race, which is really outstanding if you're there first time.
And then the last race of the season, which was Hockenheim.
The future of racing for me is dependent on my left hip, which is getting replaced with a metal one very shortly. And if the healing goes as planned, I'm hoping that next August or September that I'll be able to come back to Europe and continue the training here for the remaining half of the season.
So we've known from the very beginning that Dean has a hip situation. He was very open about that, and so when he told us that he had to go for the operation, obviously we were disappointed. He's had a stellar year this year, but knowing Dean the way he is, he will tackle it full force and go through rehab as it can.
Yeah, it wakes me up at night, and then that's kind of the hard part for concentration and everything. And work is the hardest because sitting. Same thing in bed. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm twisting.
Yeah.
Rolling around trying to find a comfortable position, and it.
Do they have the exercises that we showed you?
Yeah, I've been doing the stability.
Do they help when you have acute?
No, I've just tried to preserve the hip capsule as long as I can. But it's now time.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. November 19th, get it done.
Okay, you have the...
I mean, I'm not looking forward to the surgery. I'm looking forward to getting it
To get
out
back,
of the way,
right?
getting it out of the way.
So I'm just releasing tension of the lower back muscles, actually also testing or feeling how the muscle tension is currently.
It feels like I'm walking with the brakes on.
Yep.
You know, I've got the little bit of brake on at the same time as I have the gas on.
So we see in Dean that this actually does not stop you from racing. I actually, before I met you, I would have thought that this does not fit to racing, but we obviously see that it is possible.
Really, yes, quite worn down. Quite worn down.
Well, the big goal for today is to drive fast, but tone it down just a notch so that I preserve tires. Tire management is super important because as the race goes on, then the tires start going off and there's not much you can do. Then everybody starts passing you. And also it's much easier to make mistakes if the tires go off. So it's better to be mistake-free. So that's my goal today, is to try and be mistake-free. Race hard, race fast, but be mistake-free. I'm tired but excited, and after 2 days of going hard in the car, it's very physical, and so I'm tired, but I feel also really charged up and excited. I'm feeling a few butterflies, but I'm trying to get them to fly in formation.
Last race of the season. So like the first sprint race, he had an amazing start, so already improved in the start and in the restart as well. So you overtook right away in the first lap 6 cars. Already in the second lap, he got punted off the track. This pushed his adrenaline to the limits. And after this, he was fighting like hell. That means overpacing the car. Yeah. So He proved actually his car control, yeah, when he was sideways catching the car. But you can imagine, if you go sideways, you overheat the tires. He was more patient, more calm, yeah. He had really good lap times, and he ended up in the teens, yeah. Shortly after this race weekend, he was already aware about his hip surgery, yeah. And yeah, maybe a bit afraid as well, because we talked already about the next season and the planning and that stuff. But at this time, it was not sure how quickly he can get back in the car.
It was really kind of, I had this overwhelming emotion just driving the last lap, the cool down after the thing, you know, just to feel like, oh, this is the last time I'm going to be in a Cup car, maybe for a long time, because I have the hip surgery and I'm going to be out for, you know, better part of a year. So yeah, it was like kind of sad and yeah, sad. I just love it too much.
That was good.
We did it, buddy.
Yes, 14 did.
What a season.
Consider the competition, I think it's our best finish ever.
Yeah?
14?
Yeah, this is top competition.
I know.
Yeah, 14, not bad.
14.
Awesome.
Dean, you did a very good job, mate.
You killed it.
You just passed.
Ah, we just show up.
You know what? But we did it. Well done.
Yes, that was great, eh? What a year. What a year. So I'm hoping that, you know, if people see this old guy that's got a busted up hip and has, you know, the typical issues with aging, having to run to the bathroom all the time, and the eyes are starting to fade and all that, and going out and racing cars, that maybe there'll be a little bit of inspiration for some of our customers or some of the folks that are struggling with osteoporosis and having some challenges along the way. I know what it's like. I feel the same pains because my right hip had osteoarthritis, had to be replaced. Now my left one is, in less than a month, I'm going in to get it replaced. So I understand the concerns and the challenges around these health issues, but we just have to work through them, don't we, us 50-plussers? We have to be strong. My dad used to always say, aging isn't for the weak. He'd always say, aging isn't for the weak. Gotta be strong. So let's do it.
I think for any wife, if the husband said that they're grazing, I think there's definitely some worries. What if he crashed? You know, what if something happens? You know, but I think life is short, and you should just live it to its fullest and do what makes you happy. He is just the most dedicated and determined person that I've ever met. It doesn't matter what it is in life, if it's racing or his passion in helping people with osteoporosis. If he makes up his mind on something, he just goes 120% out, and he just keeps trying and trying and trying until he reaches his goal.
I'm 57 years old, and I think this is the best year in my life. I honestly think that it's the best year in my life. You know, when you're in your 20s, you don't think that that's possible. You think, oh yeah, once you're over 30, you're over the hill, it's all done. But for me, I'm just getting started is how I feel.